Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness Month 2024 here at Queens College. My name is Aaron Wheeler. I am the CISO here at Queens College, and I'll be your host for the first session today. Now, we've got 4 weeks of topics. Those topics will include phishing, which we're going to talk about today, cyber hygiene, privacy and how it relates to you as a student, and safe browsing. So, without any further ado, let's move into today's topic. Phishing exposed. I know it's exciting, right? But seriously, these are things we come across every day, and if you don't know how to spot them, they can really mess with you and mess with your world, especially online. So let's dive in and make sure that this doesn't happen to you. So what is phishing? Phishing is a scam where bad guys try to trick you into giving up your personal information. Things like passwords, credit cards, PII, information that you don't want to share with the rest of the world. And they do this by pretending to be somebody legitimate, like your bank, like a medical facility, like the government, or even something as pedestrian as Netflix. I've seen that happen as well. And they're sneaky, but we're going to learn how to spot them. And we'll give you some examples along the way, and hopefully we'll enjoy our conversation today learning about this. Something else we're going to talk about is phishing's little brother, as I like to call it, clickbait. Clickbait is when you see those wild headlines like you won't believe what happens next, or doctors hate, or I've even seen them in sales ads, things of that nature. So it's content that gets you to click on something, usually a misleading headline, and takes you somewhere irrelevant. 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up with some type of harmful content on your computer. So let's move into what these are. So there are multiple types of phishing in this case. So we said phishing, but what else is there? There's vishing. What is vishing? Vishing is voice over IP, voice calls, phishing using a phone call. It's where someone calls you and claims to be somebody and wants you to give them information. We talked about the IRS scams where they call you and say you owe an obscene amount of money. They don't actually tell you how much. They just say it's a very large amount, and they're going to come after you if you don't go buy a whole bunch of Amazon or iTunes or you name it, gift cards, and send them to us. We're going to send the sheriff to you. Guys, they're really not going to. It's a scam. Now there's smishing or SMS phishing, and what that is you get a text. I've seen them come from Amazon. I've seen them come from we've actually had them come. I had one come from a pizza place locally. But what it is like you see here on the screen. Somebody says, hey, you're one of 7 chosen from Walmart. You weren't. They didn't choose anybody. We're going to give you $1,000. They're not going to give you $1,000. There is no giveaway. You're the prize and your information is the goal. So then there's spear phishing. Now, spear phishing is targeted. So what they do is they learn about a group or even an individual, and they send you a very targeted email that pertains to you in a way that will make you respond, hopefully. So like in this case, GoDaddy, somebody spoofed out a GoDaddy verification. They send it to you. Help us resolve this issue with your GoDaddy account. Click here. Please don't click there. So let's move into a few more things, and let's talk about some of the risks of what happens if you do happen to fall for these things. So with phishing, it's usually identity theft. They want to get your online identity. They want to spend your money, take your money. They want to open up credit cards in your name. They want to do any number of nefarious things. A lot of it is things you really don't want happening. Social media hacks. We've all seen it. Somebody gets a friend request from you. They send you a note saying, hey, I thought we were friends on Facebook. Or I thought you were already following me on IG. Or I thought you were following me on Twitter. I mean X. But You go, well, we were. Somebody cloned you. School email or loss of access. What kind of risk is there? Well, if somebody gets a hold of your email address and they spoof the email address, it isn't actually coming from you, but they've got your name. And they start sending out a bunch of things. You'll lose access to that for a while until the investigation's done. I mean, you don't want to deal with it. We don't want to deal with it. Let's work together as a team and let's keep that from happening. And what happens here is we learn, we work together, and we go forward. So clickbait, let's talk about that. Number one thing you don't want from clickbait's malware, but 9 times out of 10, that's what you're going to get. So you click on a website that's got this great, just wonderful headline. It says, click here for all of these great things. Gold will rain from heaven. You're going to grow a whole bunch of hair. I might click on that one myself, even though I shouldn't. You're going to be better looking, more popular, and drive an awesome car. And the truth is none of those will, but you'll end up with some internet STDs, or as you know them, malware, viruses, things like that. Scams. You'll click on that, they'll get information, they'll start sending you things that are targeted at you, and then again, that little brother talks to big brother and you start getting phishing emails. Spread of misinformation. Usually what happens is you click on something, it looks too good, looks really great, it aligns with a worldview, any number of things, and you share it, you spread it, and it just keeps perpetuating the cycle. And both of these things have a negative impact. Specifically, it negatively affects your digital reputation. So what that means is people won't read your emails. People won't take your text messages. They won't take your Facebook Messenger messages. You sort of get a negative aura around you. So what do you think would be some key red flags about this? Well, if you get an email or text from an unfamiliar source, things claiming urgent action needed. We talked about that. Things offering you something that you might want that or might be of interest, but the truth is you really don't, and you're wondering why it came to you. So here's a good example. This email went out offering a TIG welder, why it would be offered to a bunch of academics that probably have no need for a TIG welder. I personally would love to have one, but I have a need. And I know how to use one. A lot of people don't. So why this went out? Well, it's because it was phishing, it was spam, somebody clicked on it, and it perpetuated itself to almost 400 addresses. So suspicious links. Usually those suspicious links will be in the email body itself. So in this case, as you see here, there's a couple of places you could have clicked. In my case, I hovered over the here button just so you could see this. The truth is this actually was a legitimate email. I simply didn't have one I could drop in here to show you hovering. And that's what's important here. You hover over that word here and it sends you to the link. Now, one thing to think about, and even though I happen to know this was a legitimate link, when you see that URL, can you read that URL? Because I can't read the URL. I mean, I see that it goes to sendgrid.net, and I see that it's got a bunch of letters and numbers, and in weird order, special characters, things like that, but I can't tell you where that specifically goes or what it's going to do in the process. And usually what happens is, even if it's a legitimate link, this type of URL will take you through a neighborhood where you don't want to go, and they're going to scrape away information they want from you, and then you'll end up at the legitimate spot eventually. It'll seem instantaneous. It'll seem very quick when you click on it, but in reality, they've already scraped away the information they need from you. Additional things that you should watch out for. Request for personal information. Legit companies are not going to ask you to email or text them sensitive information. They'll ask you to call. They'll ask you to come by. They'll give you a secure portal to do things through, but they're never going to say, oh, just email us back something. Things to watch out for are misspelled URLs. Now, this one can really get a lot of people. So here's a good example. A hacker will use a misspelled domain name, like Google, and you'll look at it and go, oh, that's Google. Now, take a few seconds here. Look at both of these. Tell me which one is actually Google. You looked at it? You know yet? It's the first one. What's the misspelling? Because it sure looks like Google to me. Except the capital I there. That's not an L. So, what clickbait? We talked about clickbait, the nefarious little brother. We're going to talk about what to watch for with clickbait. And clickbait's everywhere. What do you usually see with clickbait? What do they want you to do? They want you to click, which can be like and share if you agree. How many times have you watched or read something and they go, like and share this post if you agree, if you are on board, if you believe what I'm telling you, like and share. And there's no telling what's in it. So, over the top headlines. These are the ones I really like. Things like doctors hate. Who has seen this one? Doctors hate him. He went from 88 to 52. Only if he's driving a car, not if he's a real person. So, more over-the-top headlines. You won't believe. Man tries to hug a wild lion. You won't believe what happens next. Some additional things that you'll see that I'll tell you about. I don't have the examples here, but the ones I really like seeing are when you're on a website and it says, if you live in this state, click here for new insurance rates or new mortgage rates just for your state. Nope. It's clickbait. They're either going to put spyware, cookies, something on your machine. And again, worst case, you're going to end up with a virus. And it's just not where you want to go. So, all right. What else to watch out for? Shocking, misleading, or dramatic images. Here we go. Somebody posted an APC news alert. Okay. Then somebody took the picture. They got it down and cut it out so that it's just the distraught man and the baby. Click here to watch this video. Okay. The next person, same thing. Same video file. The third person, same thing. Again, if y'all notice, there's a trend here. The same video file. Guess what? This looks like it's from 3 different people, and it's not. It's from the same person. On the back end, it's one entity or one person, and it's a scammer. How many times have you clicked on thumbnails that don't reflect actual content? I love this on YouTube. So I shared this picture here with you because, again, you go to YouTube and you see you go to the main page, the initial YouTube web page, and it tells you a bunch of things it thinks that you'll like based on what you've watched. Then it's things, that you would like that are sort of like what you've watched. And you'll see it. My personal favorites in this case are always the Hollywood actor gets, angry over this one thing. Well, you go in, you watch the video. Now, the thumbnail is a picture of the actor. The title tells you what you think you're going to watch. The truth is, they never discuss it. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, however many minutes later, 5 minutes, whatever it is, and they never tell you. Why? Because it's a clickbait. They wanted you to watch it. They're going to get paid by the advertiser that the ad you watched at the very beginning before you got to the video. All right, so other things to look for. Fake news articles or ads. This one I kind of liked. McDonald's to stop serving the Big Mac. No. McDonald's is not going to stop serving the Big Mac. That's their #1 sandwich. In fact, I think they've even recently said we're going to have a chicken Big Mac. That's not clickbait. I've actually seen it. But the reality is they're not going to stop selling it. They just wants you to click here. Overly eager responses. These are the ones I love. We've all been on Facebook. Okay? We respond to a social media post. You follow something. I follow a lot of auto groups. And you respond, and then you'll get a response back. And it can be any number of things, as you see here, and we'll go through this. Arnold Floyd here, he posts something. Not really sure what he was talking about when he posted this, other than they're coming for us all, which sounds a little ominous, I agree. But then we get the response. Now, do you see anything about this response that looks a little out of sorts, a little wonky, a little something you probably, just it tickles that little red flag we talked about? Yeah, I doubt that Walker Zachary is the name. It's probably Zachary Walker. They probably stole the picture, and I'll wager you dollars to donuts that it's actually Zachary Walker. So, but I don't need Zachary Walker to make a connection to Anthony Bouchard. I also don't really care if he's going to thank me later, which should be later. But that shows you that a lot of times it's misspelling. It's the little things in there. If you didn't pick up on that, if I hadn't underlined it, would you have seen it? That you got to watch out for. So tips and tricks. Verify the source. If you get a suspicious message, go directly to the website. Again, type the URL into your browser, or if it's a site that you know that you go and you have bookmarked, use your bookmark. Do not click on the link. Do not follow anything in there. Go do the work yourself. Go to the website. Go into the app. Do not share personal information. Do not give out your passwords. I don't care if they tell you that the fate of the free world is resting on it. Don't do it. Don't give out your credit card details. And for the love of all things, do not give out your social security number. In fact, I'll tell you a little story. When I was first in college many years ago, we didn't have student ID numbers. Our student ID number was our social security number. We had to give it out. That's the way we did everything. Nobody considered back then, and it's been a little while, I won't tell you how long, but it's been a little while, that people would do some of the things, or would think up doing some of the things that we do today. So we used it. I used it to clock in and out of work when I would work after school or in the summers, things like that. So more tips. Here you go. Multi-factor authentication. If you want to help protect yourself, there honestly right now is no better tool. Now, I know here at the school we're implementing this, and it's an important thing. I use it. I love it. I can't tell you how secure it makes me feel, but I know that when I do it, it's that extra layer. So you put in your username, you put in your password, you put it in your machine. You then use your phone. I will pick my phone up. It'll send me a little note that says, hey, you need to do this. I log in, and then I tell it, this is really me. That's the one thing that most of the time, they can get your password, they can get your username. They are not going to have your phone in their hand so that they can then get that OTP number, which is a one-time pad. So, all right. What else? Think before you click. If a headline sounds too good or too shocking to be true, it is. Period. Do not click on it. If it's a news article or a magazine article, go to the website. If it's a news article, don't click on it no matter how bad you want to read. Go to the news agency's website. If it's that big a deal, it'll be a breaking alert. It'll be on their website. You won't even have to go search for it. Check your website URLs. Is it a trusted or verified source? Sketchy sites often are what host clickbait. And then pop-up ad and blockers. Use them. And do not just go in. A lot of times something will pop up and say, hey, let us bypass your pop-up blocker. And people go in and they'll click always. Never. Always use or always do the one time. Just this time. Click on that. That way the next time, just in case. Maybe it is a good website. Maybe it's one you've been to a lot. Maybe it's one you know. Maybe it's one you even trust. Until a hacker gets a hold of the website and starts using it in a way they shouldn't. All right. Research before you share. Don't spread false information. Fact check things before you share an article, before you share a meme, before you share anything. Use a password manager. You can use password managers. I know the LastPass is one I actually personally use. I'm not telling you to use them. I do so myself. And I do that because it does two things. One, I don't have to worry about remembering a significant number of passwords, meaning you don't end up reusing, and it will help generate strong passwords that make it harder for a hacker to brute force and to learn. So, and then misinformation checkers. We've all been to Snopes. We've all been to factcheck.org. Go check those headlines. Just make sure that it is something legitimate, that it is something worth sharing. Make sure it's truthful. It needs to be said. It needs to be shared. It needs to be read before you start sending it out into the world. Now, what do we take away from this? If it doesn't feel right, no matter how much you want it, if it's an item or want to read it or how curious you are, do not click on it. No matter what, just don't click on it. Always double check. Again, it's that ounce of prevention. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. At least that's what my grandmother always told me. But either way, so I want to thank you for being here. Today's presentation was brought to you by the letters TMYNK. Why? Because the more you know. So thank you for attending. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any ITS staff. We'll get you the answer. We'll get you to the right person that does know the answer. And as always, remember, like and share if you enjoyed this presentation. I figured you'd appreciate that. It made me laugh a little bit too. So, thank you, everybody.